Welcome, Michael, to Metallarium Pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about the Monolith Deathcult, this new
Yes.
album, The Demon Who Makes Trophies of Men, and obviously more things related to the metal world in general. So we'll start by asking how has the band been during the last 3 years? Because your previous album, V3, was released in 2021, and now we have this new album.
Well, just like the rest of the world, we were all sitting home because of the COVID pandemic. And we had a lot of shows which were canceled. So we're a little bit down for what to do now. So we decided to bringing out singles and videos to stay relevant, because a lot of bands who do not perform they're getting out of sight. So we wanted to be relevant. So we keep on releasing singles and stuff. We released the V4. That's a funny story because we had V1, V2, V3. It's a trilogy. So there's a fourth album, and that was because of V1 and V2 were sold out. So we decided, what can we do? Do we do a reprint? Or can we make a special edition box? And that was V4, which we released in 2022. And then we started working on singles. And we are now at the time that all singles we recorded and new material we put together on a new release. You can call it an album, you can call it a release. And that's where we are now. So we spent last year, we did 2023, we did one show. And the rest of the year was recording, mixing, creating artwork and stuff. And at the moment, we are trying to play our own songs. We recorded on the album. And the album is coming out on April 6th.
Yeah, correct. Other detail about, other detail about this new album is that you're releasing again. I think Human Detonator Record is your label, because you are trying to see that is more things about this label, and just found this label releasing just Monolith Deathcult releases. So is your label, or perhaps it's a different label, a friend of label?
We are the label.
Okay.
Human Detonator Records is the Monolith Deathcult is a company, and we wanted to release music. And if you want to release music through a record label, you give your rights away. You give the rights on your music, you give away. And we don't want to do that anymore. And I think we are one of the few bands in Europe who own all their own music. So we own all our music, and we needed a name to put on albums to release it. But it's just a funny name. Human Record Label is nothing more than the Monolith Deathcult's company who releases our own albums.
Okay, I understood. So for this kind of aspect, well, I saw that you released V1, V2, V3, and you mentioned a compilation album before, but now you decide completely to far away from this concept from V, and now you decide to focus on other kind of things with the Demon Who Makes Trophies of Men. So this new album represent a new concept era, or perhaps a different strategy like V1, V2?
Well, the V1, V2, and V3, the V was for our fifth album. And it was we thought it would be funny that we release our fifth album in 3 parts. And then we got the V4, and also the artwork was a little bit Art Nouveau, avant-garde. And for the new album, we decided to do something completely different. The only thing which stayed is the color. So we had a red one, a blue one, and a green one. And we also were making fun when we do another album, what is the most ugly color we can find, and that's the orange. And also because the orange, it attacks the eye. There is so much artwork coming out now, so we wanted to be a color that was just like Metallica did with the 72 Seasons album, the color yellow. It was all over the internet. This album is not a concept. It's just a bunch of songs, and maybe there is a concept, but it was not created by us. it was a bunch of songs we wanted to bring out in the form of an album because we have two sort of fans. We have the old school fans, I think our age, people who buy albums, buy vinyls, buy CDs, but we have also a lot of younger fans who only stream. So we are always thinking, what should we do? Do we have to put out a physical album or not? So that's what we thought about. And labels, promoters, festivals, they all like to have a hard copy of the album. So that's why we decided to bring it out. People like to have something in their hands. So that's why we did it. There is not a big story behind it. Just if you have something on the market, you are relevant again. You get your interviews, you get your reviews, and people ask you to come and play. If you only release singles by streamings, it is overlooked because everybody is doing that.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, yes, yes. Well, with this aspect, and talking about the singles, we are living in this kind of, well, we are retro living because this kind of singles is like a retro movement because in the 40s, in the 50s and 60s, the music is spread by singles at that time,
Yes.
and now we are returning to this era to promote the music just by singles. So for
Yeah.
you, which song or songs capture whole essence for this new The Demon Who Makes Trophies of Men?
From this album.
Yes.
Well, I have to look at the album now. I think the title track, "The Demons Who Make Trophies of Man," I think that track stands for the whole album because it's catchy, it has some brutality, it has some fun, it has orchestrations. I think this song represents the album the best.
Okay, okay. Well, talking about a little more about this new album. So I did note obviously electronic influence, symphonic influence, death metal, or extreme metal in general. So a lot of people try to find hard to label a band when you find a lot of things in your music. So it's very difficult to say, hey, this is a death metal band, a black metal band, etc. So for you, how do you label this new album? Is a industrial death metal, extreme, or just extreme death metal?
I think industrial death metal with a film score attachment, because I write out the music, and my favorite bands aren't even death metal bands. Of course, I like Morbid Angel, I like Nile, I like Cannibal Corpse, but old school death metal stuff, it's not my thing. I like also bands like the old Strapping Lad, Ministry, Laibach, Typo Negative, Fear Factory, Meshuggah. That sort of bands who always flirt with technology and with synthesizer stuff and brutal riffing. But because we use the death grunts, we will be labeled as a death metal band. But I think we are an industrial death metal band, and that's why we created a little bit our own style, the supreme avant-garde death metal. That's something we came up with. But you're right. We are a difficult band to label. And the good thing about that is that we can play on all different shows. Where we did shows with My Dying Bride, we did shows with Ministry, we did shows with Amon Amarth. So because our style is very broad, you can put us in every style.
Okay, okay. Other detail about this new album is the cover art. I don't know why, but I related with the deep web because you can see the top of the iceberg. You can see the like iceberg, but at the behind the sea you can see a lot of things like the internet aspect or systematic aspects. So perhaps it's related with this kind of aspect with the deep web. You can see always the good things in internet, but if you can deep down, you can see the mostly ugly things that the internet bring to us.
It's a very interesting view, and I will tell it to the guys and the guy who wrote it, who draw it. It has nothing to do with the internet. What we are looking at is the corpse, nightmare corpse city of Relia from the Lovecraft, the Call of Cthulhu, and I'm very into Lovecraft, but everybody has done Cthulhu. So we were thinking, what can we do which is not related to the monster Cthulhu, and that was the city where Cthulhu's tomb was. And we took the book, we read the book, and there was described how it would look like, and we gave that to our artist, and he draw it for us with hand. It's not artificial intelligence,
No, no,
by hand. But it's an interesting view about the top of the iceberg and all the ugly thing there under the sea, under the line, under the radar. It's interesting. I will tell him that.
Okay, okay. Well, as I mentioned, well, what kind of plans do you have to promote this album? Perhaps tours, live videos, or perhaps more videos upcoming, or who knows? Perhaps you will embark for the first time Latin America, US. Who knows? Who knows? I love what kind of plans do you have for this the demon who makes trophies of men?
Well, first we like to play as much as possible, but we are not into pay to play. Of course, we like to be on tour, but we don't want to pay 500, 600 euros per show to go on tour with a big band. We are releasing next Thursday, March 21, we are releasing a new video, a new single that's Commanders Encircled with Foes. And we like to play as much as possible on festivals. Because for me, a festival is much cooler than a club show, because on the festival, people will see you who were not going to the festival for you. So you get a new audience. We will keep on releasing singles, not from this album, but we write new music. And the old school way was you write music, you bring out, you release some singles, and then you came with the whole package that is the album. But the type changes. People listen to Spotify, they put it on shuffle. The whole concept of an album with the tracks, then this track 1 and what would be the next track, track 2, the whole feeling is gone. And I think that's not cool, but it's a new reality. So we will keep on releasing singles, not for this album, but standalone singles, and then there will be an EP or an album, and we will be releasing videos and stuff and merchandise, and hopefully play much as possible.
Okay, okay. Well, talking a little about from the history of the band, I remember when I heard the band with the first album, the Apotheosis, in this case,
Yeah.
and then I hear, well, that album you tried to do a death metal
Yes.
way, straight way. But then when you with the second album, the White Crematory, you did a more brutal death metal stuff there. And the third album, the third and Tribim Berate, you try to do a more symphonic stuff. And now always, as you mentioned, you have influence for different kind of music, industrial, electronic, this kind of, and the band turns to this kind of the electronic area or with extreme metal. So is this kind of change was a conscious decision in the band, or perhaps it was a natural evolution of the sound that you want since the beginning?
Yes, it was a natural evolution. Before we started the Monolith Deathcult, we all played in different bands. I played in a Cradle of Filth like black metal band, including the paint and the blood and all the stuff. The Tusker Embrace era, Cruelty the Beast. My favorite band's Cradle of Filth, and then that albums. And then I heard Nile, and I was totally blown away, because Nile was not the ordinary death metal band for me, and that's not a judgmental, but the normal death metal bands like Deicide, Immolation, Incantation, all great bands, but not my cup of tea. But Nile was totally different. They also had the synthesizer and orchestral stuff. So we started the band, and we recorded an album with the music we like to play at that moment. So the Apotheosis came out, and then we were thinking, well, okay, we can do maybe 10 albums in that style, but let's try to broaden our sound. So a friend of Robin, Karsten, came in the band. He played the synthesizers, and he stayed with the band. He's now the guitar player, but his influence on the synthesizer always stayed. And little by little, we just play music we like to hear by yourself. So a perfect mix between the brutality of Nile, the catchiness of Fear Factory, the black humor from Typo Negative, mechanical stuff of strapping your led and ministry, and we put it all together. And that's what the Monolith Deathcult is.
Hmm.
There are no borders.
Okay, okay. Well, other aspect that
But
I
it
don't know
wasn't,
in.
it wasn't, we didn't have a meeting, let's do this and do this. We came up with music. If it is cool, we use it. If it is not okay, we don't use it. And we do not think from, is this death metal enough? Or are the blast beats 250 BPM? We are totally, we have nothing to do with that. That's not how we write music. If it
Okay.
is cool, we use it.
Okay, okay. Other thing that I didn't know, especially I love your second album, The White Crematorium. It's a great album, by the way. We did on a resume of the brutal death metal scene from Netherlands a year back, and we mentioned this album because it's for us it's a great song on the brutal death metal from Netherlands. But then I saw that this White Crematorium was re-recorded and re-released in 2010 with the other name, the White Crematorium 2.0, so the revenge
It's,
of the fail. So what did you decide to bring back old songs with a new sound at that time?
well, the White Crematorium was the first album we got our rights back. We bought them back from Hammerheart Media, and we were thinking, okay, now we have it, and we are sold out of the White Crematorium. So what should we do? Do we just a reprint, or we have all the stuff, all the recording stuff? We do it by ourselves, and we don't hire a studio. And it started with Robin said, I have a new bass. It's a very good bass. He sounds much better than the original. So shall I play the bass again on the White Crematorium, and then we do a reprint? Okay, he did that, and then I was okay, but I have very cool guitar plugins. Let's do this, and it got a little bit out of hand, and then there was a re-recording, but it wasn't a big thing. Well, it sounded better, just so we gave it a new mix and we just reprinted it.
No, okay, okay. Well,
Ah,
that's great because it's very different from the second album. So and so talking about now other kind of things, as you can see, well, now the music in the music industry and all the metal in general are doing evolutions or are doing mixtures with a lot of the style, with electronics, synthesizers, avant-garde, experimental. I don't know, a lot of mixtures happen. So for you, what's your point of view about now the metal is seen in the world that has to like the well, I think the metal is the only style that it has the ability to be chameleonic with other styles because when I hear jazz, you can mix jazz with pop with other kind of styles. It's just what it is. But you can mix metal with industrial electronic pop rock. I don't know. You can mix with a lot of things metal. So what's your point of view about now the extreme metal especially are doing more mixers more mixings in with a lot of bands releases etc.
I think that is because of what we talked about earlier, the urge to release singles. And if you release a single and it's just a single, people aren't interested. So I think to gain interest, to gain buzz, that people decided to do remixes or do guest vocal stuff with each other. I don't know because we never did that. We didn't know. But I think it has to do with gaining attention on the socials. So you get tagged and you get tagged by that band, and your fan base will like it, and you mix it with other artists, his fan base will like it. Maybe it has something to do with that. And I think all music, all bands who like to read music in any sort of form, I think releasing music is always cool, always good to bring on new stuff. And we will see which music will stay, which music will forgotten soon. We will
Mm.
see.
Okay, okay. Other detail that I found when searching a lot of information for the Monolith that cult is that you mentioned the album. Well, I remember that in your demo, in Obliteration of the Despise, you use a song that is called Monolith, and that you can use for the name of the band, the Monolith Death Cult. So for you, what's exactly the meaning of the Monolith Death Cult? Because perhaps I have a different perception that you have.
Well, when we started the band, we don't want a common death metal name. So we decided we have to it has to be a name which looks cool and massive, just like Rammstein, Monolith. Well, and then we came up with Monolith, and then we found with 21, 23, when you found out there were a lot of stoner doom bands who called themselves Monolith. So I remember that I read some biographies from Guns N' Roses that Matt Sorum told. I played in a band was called the Southern Deathcult, and we changed the name into the cult. So I thought, well, that cult, we put the Monolith, that cult. We put the words together. You have a massive sounding name, which look cool on the posters, and that's the story.
No, okay.
It don't has a deeper meaning.
Okay, and obviously now we are with this kind of the singles. Obviously, we are living in a world that prefers now to re-release old stuff from the past. And as you can see, a lot of bands are releasing demos, releasing so things that they recorded on the 90s, 80s, or perhaps at the beginnings of 2000s. All obviously with this aspect. So, what's your opinion about? Oh, and also, some bands are trying to re-record all things like Sepultura did the first two albums with the Max Cavalera name. Obviously, other bands did the same. So, are you agree if some label, perhaps in the future, will told you say perhaps you are gonna available to re-record the first album, the Apotheosis, perhaps re-record with the new ideas, with the new things, with a different approach, or perhaps for you is a product of their time. It's not need to re-record this kind of music.
Well, all things you said in your question, we already did. Because the Blood Cult's album is a sort of re-recording of Apotheosis songs with a different name. And we like to re-record our stuff, not because we are lazy, but we think that when the time we wrote it and we mixed it, that we weren't focused enough on the music. So very cool parts, very cool riffs were totally buried under layers of vocals, blast beats and stuff. So what we try to do is so we pick out a song, play it with what we knew now. We know 20 years of experience. And we try always, when we do a song again, we give it some new input. It's not just a re-recording with a better sound. If that was the point, you can just remix it with fancy plugins and stuff. So when we do a re-recording, we try to give the song a different realm, a different feeling, so that it feels new.
Okay. One of the last questions for this interview, Michael, is that as you can see, the metal scene grows with the lyrics to fight against something, because in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, the metal scene always tried to piece of one something with the lyrics, and happens many Judgment Days in the 80s and 70s. I remember a lot of trials in US, and obviously in 1990s the black metal shocked the world with the Kill the France. But now in this kind of aspects, as you can see now, thanks to the social media, the metal is well more accepted. If you are a Satanist, now you have your church. Now, that's not that happened in the 80s or 70s. If you're a Satanist at that time, you are against the Christianity, you are a witcher, so I don't know. A lot of things happen. So, but now you can see how to paint a corpse paint as a black metal on YouTube, trends, who is more poser than the other one, etc. A true black metal in the festivals. How do you behave in a festival like a black metal, like a Viking metal, like a death metal? I don't know. A lot of things happen. No? So for this kind of aspect, what's your point of view now? The metal is in some ways lose the essence to fight against the society, because we as old since the 80s that I born. I remember the metal is one to piece of one something with the lyrics, with the cover arts, with the names, and a lot of things. But now it's different. You can see a people wearing a shirt from Cannibal Corpse on the streets, and nothing happened. But the 80s, that's satanic people. So what's your point of view? That the metal is well more accepted. We don't have anything more to fight.
Well, it's a total different time now. I think the time when metal came up, the 70s, the 80s, there was always the doom of the Cold War, of the nuclear conflict with the Soviet Union. At the moment, metal isn't shocking anymore. And I think that is a good thing, because there are so many brilliant bands, brilliant musicians, brilliant songs that were totally overlooked because it had the long hair and the image. On the other side, at the moment, there is a game industry, and the things I see on video games where with my students play, I'm a teacher on school, are much, much more brutal than all the Cannibal Corpse lyrics together. Same for satanic stuff, anti-Christian stuff. People aren't shocked anymore because of the social media. Maybe you remember in the 90s the Faces of Death videos. And you have to go to a very shabby store to get those videos. Now it's all over the internet. So the whole shocking isn't there anymore. And I think that's cool. So we can focus on the music. And I'm not the shocking thing was never was never what I attached to metal. I like a bit like Ghost, who got a little bit tongue in cheek with a satanic image. It's for me much more cooler than a bit like Behemoth, because Behemoth is so satanic that it's always a religion. They are religious satanic. Yeah, and that's not my thing. I like the band Musical, and their shows are brilliant, very cool to see. But Nergal sometimes sounds like a preacher, a satanic priest. Or you're a Christian priest or a satanic priest. You are a priest. It's a religion. So the whole fight thing, I think at the moment that we were totally blown away by the video games if we call about brutal artwork and that sort of stuff. Because if a new Cannibal Corpse album is out, everybody's saying, well, okay, cool cover, okay. So the shocking thing is gone away. And I think that's thanks to the social media. You can see everything everywhere.
Okay. Well, Michael, the sad times arrive at this interview. I hope you enjoyed this interview like me. I know a lot of things.
Yes, it was pretty cool.
Thanks for this. Thanks for yours. Congratulations on this new album. It's a great one, as usually since many years ago.
Did you like the album? Did you like it?
Yes, it's very as usually. Well, for me, it's the Monolith Deathcult since Tetragrammaton. Tetragrammaton did another kind of thing. It's very different. It's not like the common industrial death metal or string industrial extreme metal. You have your own way to create your music. For me.
Yeah,
that's my appreciation. That's my appreciation.
Good to hear that, because the whole thing about the Monolith Deathcult is the fact that we sit in our rooms behind our computers and we create stuff, and people all over the world liked it, and I can do interviews with you, and that's for me the coolest thing there is. We don't world tours, big festivals, okay, but purely the fact that we talk about something we created here in our rooms, that's for me a great reward. So thank you very much for your time, and we hope you never played in Spain. So if you have some contacts for us, we like to do the festivals, but we don't have promoters there. So maybe we can work out something in the future. But
we will see. So, well, thanks for this interview, Michael. It was a pleasure. And perhaps do you want to add something to your Latin American fans and obviously Metallarium followers?
Well, keep an eye on our socials. We will keep on releasing videos and singles. You don't have to wait for a new album. And next Thursday, 21st of March, we will release a new single, Commanders in Circles with Foes, which is based on the Handmaid's Tale series.